Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005, and we are live at the Talladega Superspeedway for the running of the Aaron's 312 for our next and fifth race of the season for the Busch Series Custom Schedule season. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's live stream with a realistic commentary, full race as usual on the daily, whether it is the video games past or present or the real races on the weekend. Now that NASCAR is back nearly in full swing, they have a week off this week between the Clash and the Daytona 500, but then they're not going to have another off week until Father's Day weekend, so there will be a lot of racing to go for. The tracks I will be attending in person will have race highlight videos and other stuff, other videos I have planned for at the racetrack predictions, much more. And then also going to end up having live commentary races for the real races. On the weekends, I'm basically not going to the race. So you can look at both schedules for the races I will be attending this season for the Cup Series and for NASCAR in general, as well as the races I plan on doing live commentary for across all three series. Now, with that being said, let's get into tonight's race at Talladega. First and foremost, so qualifying, we'll see where Greg Biffle can qualify for today's race. He started on the pole on the first super speedway race of the year at Daytona, was able to win the race, leading 42 of the 120 laps. We'll see in this one it being 117 laps if he can end up getting the victory here. 312-mile distance, 12 miles longer, which makes for a 4-lap longer of a race than what we're used to now. No practice for this one. Biffle tries to get up to speed. He'll have 2 laps to try and set the quick time. Car feels a little on the free side as he's getting him to speed off of turn 4 this time. Heading down into the tri-oval. Of course, the start-finish line at Talladega, a few hundred feet past where it would be at most racetracks, would be in the center of the tri-oval, or even like the other super speedway at Daytona. This one is about 2/3 of the way down the front stretch. Biffle's won 3 of the first 4 races this year. He's finished top 3 in all 4 races, coming off a 3rd place finish at Rockingham, seeing his undefeated streak come to an end 2 nights ago. Dale Earnhardt Jr. went on to win that race on a last lap pass on Kyle Busch. And we'll see if Dale Jr. can go back-to-back. He will be in the field, as will a lot of the other Cup Series regulars once again today. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. This game is a near-perfect NASCAR video game. 11th on lap 1 for Biffle. The car's just a bit free, and I wonder if that's scrubbing a little bit of corner exit speed off and hurting the straightaway speed in return. I think the second lap should be quicker than the first lap for Biffle as long as he doesn't make a major mistake. 51.393 on lap 1. Loose on entry into turn 3 that time. Definitely gonna have to tighten the car up before he gets into the race. Didn't run any practice sessions to adjust on the car, so kind of freelanced it for qualifying. 51.354, a little bit quicker on lap 2, jumped up 2 positions. He'll be starting now inside the top 10 in the 9th spot. Manny Brown in the 83, who already has 1 pole, now gets his 2nd pole this season. He'll be starting out in front tonight at Talladega. Alright, we're going to be putting a ton of wedge in here. Drop the air pressure a little bit, and we'll be good to go. Let's get this race underway. Here it's 3:12 at Talladega. Manny Brown will lead him down to the start-finish line. Green flag is in the air for race number 5 of our Busch Series custom schedule season. Last time we were on a super speedway was the Budweiser Shootout for the Nextel Cup Series. And that was a wild finish in that one, the big one on the final lap. Labonte flipped while leading in turn 3. It's just absolutely insane what went down in that one, and now we'll have to see what will go down in this one. Greg Biffle had a great jump on the start. He gains 3 positions in 1 corner. Top 5 kind of breaking away, though. And very quickly at that. 3 by 3 through most of the pack. Oh, contact! Between a couple cars behind Biffle on the outside. One car got squeezed into the wall. Mark Martin evades down to the bottom, as well as one of the generated drivers that was sitting behind Greg Biffle. Biffle's going to stay high into turn 1. He's going to let his teammate Mark Martin get to the bottom. 3 wide for second place up towards the front of the field as the race leader, I believe, was Buchanan in the 113. He went on to lead lap 1. Trouble, car in the wall on turn 2. And Mark Martin clobbers him in the left rear. Biffle just gets to the inside and misses him. Not sure how that happened, but there was a car hard in the wall off the exit of turn 2 that was inside the top 5. I couldn't tell who it was. And Mark Martin drilled him in the left rear, and Greg Biffle, with an evasive maneuver, was able to get to the inside and miss the carnage that potentially could have been the first caution of the race. But we continue to stay green. 2 laps complete at the line this time. And wow, the top 5 have really spread apart and pulled away from everybody else because of that. And Greg Biffle's in no man's land. He's nowhere close to the top 4 in front of him, and he's at least a couple seconds ahead of the few cars behind him. Sam Motti, a NASCAR fan, welcome to the stream. Biffle let his teammate Martin get by so he could draft behind him, and then Martin just got into the back of that car that ended up in the wall. And now we have a caution on lap 3. So off of turn 4, now we have a caution. What a crazy start to this Aaron's 312. Oh, up and over Ashton Lewis. Flips in turns 3 and 4. There was a car on the apron of the track that was blowing up. Lewis hit him. He tumbles up and over, gets hit on the roof of his race car, and slides across the banking. My goodness. Terrible crash to start things off. We had a pretty violent wreck at Rockingham in the last race. Few cars involved. This one pretty much a primarily 2-car accident, 3-car accident, but Ashton Lewis has flipped on lap 3. Green flag back in the air, and that'll stack the field back up again. I don't know if you'd call that the big one, because it didn't seem like anybody else was involved outside of Ashton Lewis, heavily at least, and then the one driver that was down on the apron. Biffle gains 1 spot on the restart. Kevin Harvick follows Biffle to get up to 5th. Biffle going to try to stay with these guys now. Manny Brown to the inside, looking for his first lap lead of the race. He qualified on the pole, but Buchanan led the first 6 laps. Harvick to the outside of Greg Biffle. Biffle's not able to keep up with the top 3 on his own. 3 wide off the exit of turn 4 as Biffle got put in the middle lane. Harvick blows by up high. Biffle trying to draft with happy Harvick. Well, I was thinking that we were going to potentially see some craziness the way we left off in the last super speedway / restrictor plate race in this game a couple nights ago in the Budweiser Shootout on Monday. Well, I was not expecting a flip on lap 3 from Ashton Lewis. We had a flip on the last lap of the Bud Shootout, Bobby Labonte, while leading nonetheless. We only had 1 caution in that 70-lap race as well. Ended up happening on the last lap, so no cautions come out in the final lap in this game. Down to the inside. Big block by Manny Brown on Buchanan. Biffle will not quite lead that lap. Brown will lead his second lap at the line. Biffle's going to need some help, but Buchanan's going with Brown right now. Biffle going up the track trying to side draft. Now he's got help from Kevin Harvick, but it's a little too late. So Biffle was not able to get a lap led. He'll fall back to third. Big run on the bottom. A little tandem racing going on between Kevin Harvick and Eddie Hammock. As Brown leads at Daytona. Biffle pulls clear of Harvick into turn 3. Trying to get another run going again. Off turn 4. Buchanan going very low to try and block again. Greg Biffle is already there. Harvick to the outside, helping Buchanan stay clear of Greg Biffle. Biffle crowds the 21. He'll hold back Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now inside the top 5. Again, he's trying to go for back-to-back wins after winning at Rockingham in the last race. He's inside of Harvick for 4th right now. Top 2 really pulled away. Jacob Shipman, welcome to the stream. Manny Brown holding on to the lead. Hammock to the inside of Kevin Harvick. Dale Jr. cleared for 4th. Biffle throwing a block to hang on to 3rd. Side by side for the lead. Buchanan on the inside with the advantage. He should be able to clear Manny Brown off the exit of the corner. Dale Jr. swinging high. Man, he's got a fast race car. He blew an engine in our Budweiser shootout the other night. 4 nights ago on Monday. Looking for redemption on the Super Speedway in the Busch Series. Biffle going to draft with Dale Jr. Harvick kind of sticking with the 60 and the 8 right now. Buchanan and Brown are the only 2 drivers who have led so far today, but they have swapped the lead between each other a few times already. Massive run down the back straightaway for Greg Biffle. He'll pull to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr., but is it a little too early? I don't think they're quite close enough to hit to Manny Brown and Tiny Buchanan yet. Biffle's up to 3rd, but he's not close enough to draft off the leaders. Kevin Harvick back to the inside of Dale Jr. again. Biffle down to block Harvick. Biffle again up to block Harvick. Harvick to the bottom. Oh, bad block by Biffle. Down into the grass he goes. Harvick's in the outside wall. And we stay green. That was a terrible block by Biffle, nearly causing another accident. Harvick loses a ton of positions. Biffle's losing a few spots out of it, but a lot more time lost. They were only 0.7 of a second off the lead. Now they're about 4.5 back. Biffle's still trying to get his momentum back. Happened so quick. He thought he had plenty of time to pull down. I guess he didn't. Usually don't see a bad mistimed block this early in the race. But obviously he saw one there. .107 of G. Martin kind of checked up in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Biffle gives him a bit of a bump draft. Harvick took a pretty good hit into the wall. Something's wrong with Martin. Martin gets sideways in the middle of the tri-oval. Greg Biffle will make the pass. I don't know what's going on with him. He was all over the place. Hornaday to the inside of Biffle into turn 1. Contact with Castleberry. Kind of a dangerous spot for the contact to take place. Anywhere on this track especially is dangerous whenever you get contact. Trishan Games, welcome to the stream. The weather teller is here. You a meteorologist now? Well, top 2 have really pulled away after Biffle had kind of held up the pack with that bad block on Harvick. Well, when the pack got this far spread apart, it only took 3 laps and we ended up having a caution. We'll see what's going to happen next. Biffle to the inside of Blue. Castleberry makes the pass for position on him. Pulls up, clear. Now got a draft behind Ron Hornaday. Massive run for Biffle. Pulls low on Ron Hornaday. He's got a big run. Hornaday with a block. Biffle pulls clear. Dale Jr. kind of getting away on his own in 3rd. Second time Biffle's made a pass for position, but he's not close enough to be able to get a draft off of the cars in front of him after making the pass. Happened once when he took over 3rd place, and now it happens here as he took over 6th. Pulls high in front of Castleberry for the moment. Pulls back down to the bottom. Oh, Castleberry clipped the apron in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He bobbled. Hornaday has a run on the outside lane now. I use the Intimidator button. Is that what I did? I meant to use the share draft. That would make sense why the handle got loose both times I tried to share draft him. Wow, J.J. Yaley from out of nowhere makes the pass on Biffle. Biffle able to get back down to the bottom to check up Casey Atwood, who also tried to get by but couldn't quite do it. Biffle to the back of Yaley as they work together in the draft. Greg Biffle doesn't have as much speed in his car as compared to what he had at Daytona in the season opener. He led 42 laps and probably had the best car in that race, but in this one today, he definitely doesn't have as good of a single car run. He qualified 11th, and I think that's kind of telling of it because he qualified on the pole back at Daytona earlier this season. Biffle and Yaley on the bottom. They work together to get around Ron Hornaday. Now they're working together to make the passes on both Jimmy Hill and Eddie Hammock. And Yaley and Biffle now running 4th and 5th. So they'll try to run down Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 3rd next. He's all by himself. His lonesome self. Biffle gonna try to bump draft J.J. Yaley. He hit him square. It's tough to do with these Gen 4 cars, so you definitely have to be careful doing that. Very easy to just turn the car in front of you. Biffle's actually able to do a pretty good job, though, that time. They gained a couple tenths of a second down the back straightaway alone on the leaders. We're also kind of two-car tandeming. Manny Brown and Tiny Buchanan. Only had 2 different leaders on the first 22 laps of the Aaron's 312 at Talladega. But we've had 4 lead changes between them. By the way, at lap 20, Greg Biffle hit halfway on fuel. And we had that caution back on lap 3. Everybody stayed out of the pits, which on lap 3 you would kind of expect that. Maybe if you were at the rear of the field, you can consider at least topping off on fuel. Tires weren't going to do anything. It's probably only going to be a 2-tire stop for Greg Biffle. At least on this first stop, he's going to take right sides only, assuming he has to pit under green. If it's a pit stop under caution, then he's just going to end up taking on 4 tires. Biffle going to try to hit Yaley square. Some more bump drafting going on down the back straightaway. Yaley's all right with it right now. Again, it's risky, but boy, is it ever fast if you can lock the bumpers. It's just nowhere near as easy as what it is nowadays. Not only these cars don't have that much downforce, but it's a bumpier surface, and just the bumpers of the Gen 4 cars themselves don't align quite as well as the Gen 6 or even the next gen cars. Car of tomorrow, I guess, as well. Another bump draft to Yaley. They've definitely gained ground. They were 5.9 seconds off the lead. It's down to 4.1 into the tri-oval. Lap 24, and they've really gained that in about 4 to 6 laps. So you got a Chevrolet and a Ford working pretty well together right now. Another bump draft to J.J. Yaley. 3.9 seconds off the lead. Ashton G, welcome to the stream. The only road course I plan on going to this year is Mid-Ohio for both the IndyCar race and the truck race. NASCAR Truck Series race. But I don't plan on going to any for the Cup Series this season. There's only a couple I haven't been to. That would be Coda and Sonoma. And I've taken 2 really long distance, well, I guess 3 if you count Daytona, 3 longer distance trips this year that are over 15 hours in length. And those other 2 tracks are both over 15 hours. I think it's about 18 hours to Coda for me to drive, and Sonoma's the furthest track away from where I live, over 30 hours. And So I'm going to miss out on those ones this year. Dale Jr. has caught the second place car of Manny Brown. Buchanan actually pulled away from Brown. That might make Dale Jr. a little bit quicker now that he has somebody to draft with. Greg Biffle with the bump trap to the back of J.J. Yaley. 3.4 off the lead. Joshua Rumsey, welcome into the stream. Lap 28, if you're just tuning in, we've had one caution back on lap 3. Ashton Lewis flipped in turns 3 and 4 very early in the race after one driver had already dropped a cylinder. It was up in smoke down on the apron of the racetrack going into the middle of the corner. Lewis piled into the back of him and he was on from there. They were 3 by 3. Entered a little bit too low. Biffle had to let out of the gas before bumping Yaley into turn 3. Otherwise, he was going to turn the 18. So, I mean, you have to really make sure those bumpers are aligned perfectly if you're going to bump draft in this style of race car on this bumpy of a race track. It's not easy at all. Biffle's done a good job of it so far. He was very smart to back out of the gas. He still got into the back and more towards that right rear corner panel of the 18, but luckily Yaley was able to hold on. He didn't really get that out of shape either. Dale Jr. looks like he's going to try to go to the outside right now of Brown. Couldn't get around him that time, though. Biffle and Yaley down the back straightaway. Have a pretty big run on the two cars in front of them. And a 4-car group could definitely get to Buchanan, who's all by himself right now. Yeah, I think all the practice sessions are going to be on TV. They usually are, especially for 500. But they usually televise all the Cup Series practices, at least. Most of the Xfinity and truck practices. Well, Dale Jr. going to get around Manny Brown in turns 3 and 4. J.J. Yaley to the inside. He'll make the pass. Biffle coming up. He's going to get to the inside of Manny Brown as well, it looks like. Oh, and Yaley threw a bad block on Greg Biffle. Contact between the two cars. Dale Jr. is going to get away. At second, Biffle had a massive run. Yaley didn't know he was there. It was very similar to what happened between Harvick and Biffle earlier, which allowed for, at the time, Manny Brown, Tiny Buchanan to pull away. And now Jr. getting away from what was a 4-car pack, now down to 3 cars in the pack. Biffle going to let Yaley go, slide in line in front of Brown to hold on to 4th at least, and now he'll draft behind Yaley again. These two worked well together. I won't be at any of the practices before the dual races because I won't be in Daytona until Thursday anyway. I believe they have a practice on Tuesday and then a practice before qualifying on Wednesday, and I won't be there for qualifying either. I won't be there until like Thursday evening, a couple hours before the dual races, so I'll definitely be at the dual races, and then I'll probably be at the track, honestly, not all day Friday, but most of the day, enough to probably catch Cup Series practice, which I believe is at like 5 or 5:30. From then through Truck Series qualifying and then into the truck race, I'll be there Friday. Then I'll pretty much be there all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Probably get my round of golf in Thursday afternoon. Means the race isn't until at night, and then the same thing on Friday. Means there's no, I don't think there's any on-track activity until like 4 or 5 o'clock at least, so. If you see me, say hi. For anybody going to the 500 or any of the races during Speed Weeks this week. Well, Manny Brown's lost touch of the 3-car tandem now. Between Greg Biffle, J.J. Yaley, and Dale Jr. Biffle again with a run to the inside of Yaley. Yaley through a block, holds on. Yaley now to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. for second into turns 3 and 4. Biffle trying to cling on the back of Yaley. See if Dale Jr. is going to pull down and try to block the 60. He didn't even have a chance to. I don't think he was far enough behind the 18 to pull down yet. And the 60 was already there by the time he was. So Yaley, Biffle now to second and third, working around Dale Jr. One of the favorites today. Will this be the first race a Cup Series regular will not win? Biffle won the first 3. Dale Jr. won race 4. Well, bushwhacking going on this season. On this custom schedule season so far. Top 2 as of right now, Busch Series regulars. And one of which is a fantasy driver, Tiny Buchanan. J.J. Yaley coming into the pits this time, so Biffle will not get to draft with Yaley any longer. We're in the middle of green flag pit stop. Some drivers started to pit the lap before. Dale Jr. looking to the outside. Biffle with a block as they roar into turns 1 and 2. One car very slow down the backstretch right now, and I believe it's Buchanan. I don't know what happened to Tiny Buchanan, but he was slow down the backstretch, and now all of a sudden his couple-second lead is gone. Greg Biffle, Dale Jr. closing in. Biffle going to try to get a lap led in before he pits if he can, because he has not led yet. To the outside. Oh, he nearly turns him into the wall. Buchanan goes around. He did get turned by the 60. Oh, that's a terrible accident to have happen at that point. Biffle mistimed it. He was just going to pull in line behind him, and he hooked the 113 car. That is something you hate to see. And that will bring out another caution. Our second of the day. And Dale Jr. was able to get to the lead before Buchanan went around. And Greg Biffle's still going to be scored in third. 4 tires of fuel coming for the 60, and that's going to trap a few drivers a lap down that already pitted the couple laps before the caution. That was just a... I don't think I've ever done that before. I mean, I might have. I can't remember the last time I did. Where I was just going to pull in line behind somebody and I just hooked him. I guess I had a bigger run than what I thought I did. Because I wanted to get down before Dale Jr. got underneath me, and I know I was clear of the 8. I just clipped the 113. Biffle just accidentally turned the race leader. And not a very fast pit stop right now for Greg Biffle either. He's going to lose at least a few positions. Yeah, so pretty much everybody who did not pit before the yellow definitely pitted there. And Greg Biffle lost quite a few spots. 8th place on the restart. He was in 3rd when he came into the pits. Green flag back in the air. Ashton Lewis, after flipping on lap 3, is one of the cars in front of Biffle. And all those lap cars that got trapped a lap down the middle of green flag pit stops getting that second caution are on the inside of the racetrack trying to stack everything up. Biffle crazily going to go 3 wide to the outside. Ashton Lewis makes a little bit of contact with him. Biffle made a pass on Lewis for position. It was the only spot he gained in turns 1 and 2 at least. He did pass a couple lap cars who were also on the bottom as well. So he's just trying to stay with the lead draft. J.J. Yaley gets to the lead after winning the race off of pit road. So Yaley is the leader for the first time today. Now having 4 different leaders in tonight's race. That restart was at lap 40. Biffle with a run to the outside. On the 152. Trying to draft off of Cup regular Johnny Sauter. Biffle's got a pretty big run down this back straightaway once he pulled clear of that 152. Pulls to the bottom, 3 wide. Mike Bliss with a little bit of a block. Biffle's all the way down near the apron. Half his car was on the apron getting into the corner, but he's able to get around Sauter. Oh, the 10 car, Terry Cook just bounced into the wall off turn 4. Stacking up the outside lane, allows Biffle to clear on the bottom. And Biffle sees one of his teammates, Matt Kenseth, up there, outside of Mark Martin before the first yellow. Just a couple laps in, that was the only other time Biffle has even seen any other of his teammates in this race. Yes, Fantasy Game will be back again this year. Same rules applied as last year. Starts with the Daytona 500. And I believe everybody that was in it last season is automatically in it this year. Like, you don't have to re-enter. You're already entered in. It should save. 109 tried to pull a block on Biffle. Contact made. Biffle hangs on to his race car. 109 had to go all the way down to the apron, though, to save his, and he loses a bunch of spots. Evasive maneuver there by Biffle. After a block from Johnny Sauter. Sauter for position, I do believe, and I would have to think Kenseth is probably for position as well. Biffle just going to take the run down to the bottom, inside of Kenseth. Kenseth is actually a lap down, so he was one of the cars that got trapped a lap down. Biffle just ran right into the side of Johnny Sauter, knocking him a bit backwards. That was an accident as well. I mean, Sauter pinched the 60, but he still gave Biffle at least enough room. Biffle ran into the side of him. Because of Biffle making the contact with Sauter, that really costed Greg Biffle in the sense that he's going to have to sit back and wait for this pack to catch up. So he has some drafting help. Again, kind of the story of the day right now for Greg Biffle is that he hasn't had as fast of a car as what he did at Daytona when he won that race earlier this season. Remember, he actually passed Dale Jr. on the final lap of that race. It's like there's one car that is very slow heading into turn 3. Should limp their way back around to the pit lane. Ashton Lewis on the inside of Greg Biffle right now. 3 wide behind the Biff. Sauter back to the bottom. Trying to draft off of Ashton Lewis. Lewis back to 7th. That car was also able to make it to the pit lane. There's another car that looks like they're slow in turns 1 and 2. I don't know if they're off the pace or if they just lost the draft. It's tough to tell on the track map exactly. I think they're slow. Yeah, I'm assuming that's another car blowing up, so lap after, I believe that's the 3rd driver we've seen blowing an engine, just trying to make laps. Potential overheating issues for a lot of these drivers today. Well, I guess it's not a blown engine for that driver that's running a bit off the pace, so he stayed out of the pits. He definitely doesn't have any drafting help all by himself. Lap 47, Greg Biffle still has not led a lap. He only led 6 at Rockingham 2 nights ago in the last race. So after winning the first 3 and leading the most laps in each of those 3, between the start of this race and all of last race, he's only led 6 laps. He's still had a 3rd place finish. Right now he's running 8th at Talladega, at least trying to keep a potential top 5 or top 10 streak alive after Daytona today. Into turns 1 and 2. Slow car potentially getting in the way of the leaders. Kyle Busch is now going to take the lead down the backstretch because that lap car might have gotten in the way of J.J. Yaley. Down the bottom of the racetrack into turns 1 and 2. Couldn't tell who that was, but they were staying on the inside. They were definitely very slow, but at least they're on the apron, I guess. Trying to stay out of the way. Big run for Biffle. Passing 2 cars for position now to 6th. Trying to draft behind Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25. Just going to make his way past him. I think Hamlin is the favorite for the 500 just based off his Daytona stats alone and the fact that we're going into a new car. I feel like just the overall super speedway racing and the guys that are best at it are going to be up towards the front this year. I just have that feeling. Now, obviously, I'll have better predictions than just that, and just saying that once I see the cars on the track later on next week, especially during the dual races is going to be the big test. So we've had 2 cautions already tonight in the first half of the race. How many more do you think we're going to get? We had 5 at Daytona. That was only 3 laps longer than this one. As far as the mileage goes, it was 12 miles shorter of a race as well, and that's still the most cautions we've had in a race this season. We only had 1 at Bristol. We went caution-free at Nazareth. And then at Rockingham, we had 2 cautions, both in the first 32 laps of the race. I'm curious to know exactly how many cars are lapped down after the caution in the middle of green flag stops. Joshua thinks there'll be 3 cautions total. Blaney's been really good. I mean, Blaney's won at least 1 super speedway race each of the last 3 seasons. Daytona in the summer last year, Spring Talladega 2020, Fall Talladega 2019. I hope he does. I was wondering what I would do reaction-wise if he ever won a race while I was there in person, and I was super ecstatic about it, but I feel like I might shed a tear if I see him win the 500 in person. Either that or a championship in person, one of the two. I just have that feeling. Especially because I've never gotten to see my favorite driver win any of those 2, whether it's a Daytona 500 championship or a season championship. I haven't seen my favorite driver win one, at least at the top level in NASCAR, and if I see that in person, that would just, it'd be insane. Greg Biffle got blocked there by Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton got a little loose after Biffle got into the right rear of the 25. Now Biffle underneath the 8 of Dale Jr. Biffle up to 4th. Kind of making moves through the pack. He'll drop behind the 135 car of Dwayne Borland now. Am I gonna cry? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can't predict that. That's just kind of a heat of the moment thing, you know? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You go back and watch the full race highlights I had from Michigan this last summer when Blaney won in person, and my hands were shaking, I can tell you that much. Those final couple laps, like you could see, like coming back to the start-finish line, like you could hear me even over the cars that were going by. Granted, I'm close to the camera, but between that and once he crossed the finish line, it was just like, it was like tremble, tremble, tremble until they got by me. I was like, oh my God, that just happened. And finally, at that point in time, after going to 23 races in person, I finally got to see my favorite driver win. Just messy. It would be a beautiful moment. Bobby Hamilton was also able to get by Dale Jr. as well as Biffle. And these 3 cars are sticking together between Borland, Biffle, and Hamilton. Dale Jr. not able to really keep up. And I wonder if Dale Jr. might have went the wrong way on an adjustment change during the first stop of the race, because he looked like he had the car to beat earlier, and now not so much. And we've only had 4 different leaders at 56 laps at Talladega. Field's gotten spread apart a few times today. Biffle gonna try to bump draft Dwayne Borland down the backstretch. He did a great job being able to do that with J.J. Yaley earlier. Yaley's actually in 2nd place as we speak. If Biffle can get to Yaley, he's definitely going to work with him. They worked very well together earlier. Biffle's been as high as 2nd, but he has not led. Kyle Petty was your favorite driver? Yeah, I grew up as a Biffle fan. I'd say I'm even more of a Blaney fan than what I was a Biffle fan, because of the, you know, the age and the knowledge I have of the sport now versus what I did when I was a kid. You know, when I was a kid, I wasn't able to watch every single race like I have been. You know, there were races I missed just because, you know, my dad had the football games on during football season or something, when you're a little kid at least, so kind of missed most of that. You know, into like the Car of Tomorrow era, I was watching a lot more, like on a week-to-week basis. But I don't think I've missed a race. You know, I found a way to, like, whether it was Talladega in 2020, I was watching while I was at work, or, you know, something. I was at least watching it. I'd probably say since my junior year of high school, at least. And that's even counting the Monday races, because I was, like, watching during, like, 7th or 8th period. Before that, I was pretty much only missing a few years before that, I was primarily only really missing the rainout dates. Biffle to the inside of Borland for 3rd, into turn 1. Biffle's clear, and he'll drop behind J.J. Yaley now, less than 2 seconds off the race lead. So with Thad Moffitt having relation with the Petty family, would you be a big Thad Moffitt fan if he ended up working his way up deeper into the ranks of NASCAR? I know he's made some part-time truck starts. I guess he's supposed to run at Daytona next week on Friday night for the truck race. I think he's running like 7 races this year in the truck series. Dwayne Bourle and Bobby Hamilton still kind of working together. They're not really that far behind both Yaley and Biffle, running second and third. 1.5 seconds off the lead. Greg Biffle just wants to lead a lap so desperately. He's been close, he just hasn't been able to do it. He was side by side at the start-finish line 1 lap. And then going into turn 1, I guess he was side by side when he tried to pull in line behind Tiny Buchanan, who at the time was leading, and he accidentally turned him. That's what brought out the second caution of the day. And then Biffle lost 5 positions on pit road, falling from 3rd back to 8th. And now he's worked his way back up to 3rd since the restart, but it's been a long time coming. 22 laps into this current green flag run. Four years old when Richard Petty retired and Kulwicki won the championship. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. So you would have been really young when Kyle Petty was winning races in the Cup Series then. Early to mid-90s. I think a lot of current fans don't really realize that he did compete for championships in the early portion of his career. I don't think they really realize how good he was. What does he have? Eight career Cup wins? It's the 109 car that's been down on the bottom of the track. He'll go a 3rd lap down. He's very slow. Full of bump draft to the back of Yaley in the middle of turns 1 and 2. You gotta. I'm surprised that worked out about as well as it did. Usually it doesn't work out that well. Quarter tank of gas left. Kyle Busch is being ran down by J.J. Yaley and Greg Biffle, who've really pulled away from both Dwayne Borland and Bobby Hamilton Jr. Biffle to the inside of Yaley, at least trying to get there. Yaley with a block. That was a bad one, and that might cost Biffle. Biffle trying to stay desperately in the draft of J.J. Yaley, but his momentum got broken after Yaley threw a bad block on him into turn 1. And Yaley's close enough to the 5 of Busch. I think he's able to draft off of Busch. Oh, what a tough break for Greg Biffle. Again, he's so close to leading his first lap. And that was all J.J. Yaley's fault that time. That's unbelievable. Didn't he win an all-star race too? Kyle Petty? I know he came close in 92. I was wondering if he might have won another one. Wow, from a couple tenths of a second off the lead, now over about 2.5 seconds back, as the pack of cars running from third on back are reeling in, or I should say fourth on back, reeling in Greg Biffle. Be the 3-car tandem right now of Dwayne Borland, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Biffle over 3 seconds off the lead. All that ground and how long it took, almost the full run to get there. And it's all lost. Borland to the outside. Blows right around Biffle. Biffle blocks Hamilton to the outside. Junior to the bottom. He'll take 4th. Biffle's just not able to fall in line and draft behind these guys the way he would like, as they're blowing by him. Brian Rodriguez, welcome to the stream as well. Biffle's having a hard time trying to draft behind these guys. Bobby Hamilton gets by Greg Biffle. Biffle trying to cling on to the draft, and it's still not going to work. And he's just going to continue to go backwards. Now back to the 6th place position and just free falling right now. He's over 5 seconds off the lead. Yeah, it's always nice to see your home state drivers do well. I mean, Ryan Blaney is my favorite driver, so I mean, I guess him being from my home state still, it works out. It was always fun watching Sam Hornish race, because he grew up like less than an hour from where I live in Northwest Ohio. Indy 500 champ too. Dave Blaney, of course, when he was in the Cup Series. There's Ashton Lewis. I believe that's Ashton Lewis in the 46 car. Biffle going to try to let him go, and again, he's going to try to cling on to the draft behind him. Really all he can do. It looks like he'll be able to keep up with Ashton Lewis, but he's 7.7 seconds off the race lead. Kyle Busch still leads. Yaley got to his back bumper. He's just kind of drafting with them right now. And we have our first takers into the pits at lap 70, 71. A couple of them coming out of the pit lane right now. Lap car pulling up right in front of Ashton Lewis. Biffle is able to make the pass on him. That's David Stremming, the 32. That was a gutsy move by Biffle. Biffle didn't want to check up. Lewis rather, did check up. Looks like Kyle Busch came into the pits. A couple of the other leaders also came in. Biffle battling Lewis side by side for third. He drafts behind Stremme on the outside. It's helping Biffle get a little bit of a pole. Lewis still going to easily clear him. And then back down on the bottom again goes Biffle to get by Lewis. Dale Jr. to the lead. Passes Dwayne Borland in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And we'll wait and see who will pit, who will stay out this time. It looks like Dwayne Borland drops off to pit. That will give Biffle second. Dale Jr. still on the track. We had a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops the last time. Biffle was able to pit under the caution. I think he's going to have to pit this time by so he doesn't run out of gas, which is unfortunate because he was not able to lead a lap during this run either. It's going to be right side tires only for the 60 of Biffle. No adjustment changes during the second stop of the race. Give him 2.5 sets of tires left to the end, which is plenty good considering we're in the second half. And into the pits goes Biffle. Oh, got to be careful not to lock the tires up, but you don't want to speed either. He did not speed. He did lock the tires though. Right sides only. A little bit of damage on the 60. He'll repair it. Not much. Shouldn't cost that much time. And now they just need a clean stop. So Biffle going to try to gain track position by taking these 2 tires. Oh, and a mistake on the pit crew. Now the Jackman has fallen over. And remember, they're only taking right sides to try and save time. 10-second stop. Could have been worse, but it wasn't a clean stop by any means. Biffle works his way back up onto the racetrack. Dale Jr. will pit this time by. Yeah, that was a costly mistake by the Jackman. That might have been the first mistake I think we've seen out of this pit crew all season in the Busch Series. We did make one bad pit stop in the Cup Series already in the first couple races. But this is race 5 in the Busch Series, and that's the first bad stop I can recall. Here comes Kyle Busch. Biffle up the block as he's trying to get up to speed. He'll cycle in front of the 5. And he'll block him back down to the bottom. Busch got held up big time. Busch bobbling off the apron. Now can Biffle cycle ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Those 2 old left side tires, that will make a difference here at Talladega. Oh man! Busch into the left rear of Biffle. It's going to slow the momentum up of the 60. 5 got the worst of it though. Dale Jr. trying to creep up to speed right now. On the apron of the racetrack, Biffle easily going to roll past the 8 car. And for the first time today, Greg Biffle leads at Talladega. It took 75 laps, and it took taking 2 tires during the green flag stop, but he's got the lead. He'll get 5 bonus points at the start-finish line. But they are going to be humming to the back bumper of the 60 car very shortly. At least Biffle will get 5 bonus points today. I doubt he's going to lead the most laps, considering it took him this long to lead 1 lap. Guess you never know. I'm not sure exactly how many Kyle Busch was able to lead. Looks like Bobby Hamilton Jr. is up to 2nd place now. Actually, no, it might be Ashton Lewis. No, J.J. Yaley. Yaley in the 18 is in 2nd. Looks like Dale Jr. is in 3rd, and Kyle Busch is 4th. Dwayne Borland 5th. Biffle blocking Yaley. Doesn't want anybody to get around him now with the 2 old left side tires. Should have 1 more pit stop left in this race. Junior to the outside to pass Yaley in turns 3 and 4. 3 wide, nearly for 2nd. Yaley with Junior, who will lead this lap at the start-finish line. It will be Biffle by inches. So Biffle's led 3 laps now. Junior had a run, but then Yaley pulled back down to the bottom. Oh, what a move by Yaley, splitting Biffle 3 wide, and Biffle goes backwards in the sucker hole. Yaley and Earnhardt side by side for the lead. Biffle has a run again to the bottom. He'll take it 3 wide to the inside, crossing J.J. Yaley over. And he's got the lead back. Yaley clears Junior back on that third lane once again. Shot out of a cannon, though, as J.J. Yaley off of turn 4, and he's all clear again. Yaley leads for the first time today at Talladega. Second time, sorry, he led after that restart earlier. 6 different leaders so far tonight. We've got some good pack racing at the front of the field now for really the first time all race long. Biffle with a run. Cut down to the bottom lane. In line behind Bobby Hamilton. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. looking for his first laps led of the race. It'll be 5 bonus points for him, assuming he can lead back to the start-finish line. He's got a few hundred extra feet to go, though. Lap car down on the apron still. I believe it is the 109. And Hamilton, now the 7th different leader. So after having only 2 different leaders in about the first 50 laps of the race, we've all of a sudden cycled now through 7. All of a sudden. I know Jamie McMurray's from Missouri. No, Clint's from Kansas. Rusty Wallace is from Missouri. The Wallace family is. Oh, contact! Well, that'll give Biffle the lead. Wasn't the clean way of doing it, but he will make the pass and lead his 4th lap at the line. Getting around Bobby Hamilton Jr. Oh boy, Yaley down to the bottom. Lap 80. We have less than 40 laps to go all of a sudden. Kenny Schrader's from Missouri? I think that's where I-55 Speedway is. That makes sense. I know he owns that dirt track. Oh, 3 wide for second. Biffle trying to block all 3 lanes. Yaley on the bottom. Kyle Busch on the outside. Dwayne Borland in the middle. Yaley bobbling around all over the place. Biffle just could not hold on for long. Kyle Busch will take the lead. Biffle just going to try to protect the inside lane still. Dale Jr. to the top now. He'll take over second. Biffle still 3 wide middle. Oh my goodness. I think Yaley kept it off the wall. There was contact between Biffle and Yaley, and they somehow did not wreck. Biffle is back to 4th. So hard to block the runs. Look at this run. Biffle at 195 miles an hour down the backstretch, back to 3rd. All over the back of Dale Jr. Borland scrapes the wall off turn 4. Bobby Hamilton going to make a pass on him, likely for position. Biffle with a run in the tri-oval, trying desperately to get to the inside of the 8. He is underneath him at least. Trying to side draft Dale Jr. Busch stays in front of the 8 though on the outside. I just can't believe how quickly they were able to accelerate ahead of Greg Biffle. Bobby Hamilton to the bottom. J.J. Yaley's really lost these guys all of a sudden. Bobby Hamilton to 3rd, Biffle back to 4th again. Trying to draft behind Hamilton. They've got some catching up to do on Kyle Busch and Dale Jr. 16 people watching right now. 10 likes. Smash the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live commentary, live streams, both for NASCAR video games and real races and other related NASCAR content on the channel. A lot of new subscribers since the Busch Clash this last weekend. With the live commentary we did there, greatly appreciate everybody jumping aboard, and we've had a pretty good race so far tonight. Only 2 cautions. We already saw one flip on lap 3 from Ashton Lewis. He's still in the race, and last we know, he was in the top 10. Trudging right along. One car coming out of the pit lane down to the bottom. I believe the pit window is open to make it to the end of the race, so that's probably why we're seeing some drivers pit now. So other than the drivers who are pitting right this second, everybody will still have to make one more stop before the end. Caution is out, and this is interesting now. You hope the pit window is open to the end of the race. Caution flag is out for the 4th time today. Sorry, 3rd time today. So 103 car has gone around. I'm not sure how exactly, but looked like he got ran into from behind. I think he was coming out of the pits, and he got drilled by David Stremme, who was already on the racetrack. Stremme in the 32. So our 3rd caution of the race. Biffle will pit, and I'm sure everybody else is going to pit now during the caution flag. Biffle will get to take on 4 tires this time. Top off on fuel. Jack Lukey, welcome to the stream, and thanks for the 99-cent super chat. Appreciate it. I'm doing great. Hopefully you are too. Well, last time Biffle's crew was on pit road, they had a bad stop. The Jackman fell over when they took right sides only. First stop of the day, that was also under caution like this one. He went in 3rd, came out 8th. This one, he's going in 4th. Where will he come out? 3rd. 1 spot gain for Biffle, by far the fastest pit stop of the race so far for the 60. And we have a bot down in the chat. First of the night. Green flag back in the air. Biffle will restart 5th, even though he's 3rd out of the pit lane. I think the top 2 were on pit road when the caution waved. Either that or they just decided to stay out. Biffle hasn't been great on the restarts today. He needs to hope that he could at least keep up with these guys as the green flag is back in the air. 30 laps to go at Talladega. Will they make it to the finish? The 2nd most cautions we've had in a race already this year. Coincidentally, both of them were on super speedways. Daytona in the season opener, and today with that 3rd caution at Talladega. Biffle's staying with the pack for now. He's only led a few laps in this race, maybe 5 or 6 at the most. He only led 6 at Rockingham in a 3rd place finish 2 nights ago in the last race. Dale Jr. again trying to go back-to-back. He won on a last lap pass on Kyle Busch at Rockingham. Big run on the front stretch right now for Greg Biffle. He needs more cars on the bottom lane, though, as he kind of stalled out. Now they'll pull to the bottom in front of him into turn 1. That'll help. He's still in 5th. The only cars he's gotten around on the restart were lap cars. Watching from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the stream. Greetings. Biffle's got his teammate, Matt Kenseth, right behind him. He has not really had the chance to work with any of his teammates so far today. Last I know, Kenseth was a lap down. So 2 of our 3 cautions have come out in the middle of green flag pit stops today. And Kenseth was a lap down after the first green flag pit stops when that 2nd caution came out. I think Mark Martin was also a lap down, so that's part of why Biffle hasn't been able to work with his teammates, because he's the only one of them on the lead lap. Biffle trying to work with the lap car hold to get to the top 4, who've kind of pulled away just a bit off the restart. You say welcome from down under, and it makes me think that you're implying that he's from hell, but I don't think that that's what you're implying. That's the first thing that popped in my head. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. Yeah, that was true. So I think it was Joshua said 3 cautions. Billy says 3 now as well, so we may go green to the end of the race. That was definitely our longest green flag run. From lap 40 to lap, what, 84? 44 laps. I don't think Cody Holt's fast enough for Biffle to draft with him and get to the front. That's actually Johnny Sauter on the bottom, not Matt Kenseth. I saw the 7. Oh, those guys are going 3 wide, and they are not done battling each other for this lead. Biffle's able to at least hang on to him on 2 fresh tires and 2 old tires earlier. Biffle to the inside of Cody Holt. He's not going to be able to pass him. They're 3 wide off the exit of turn 2 now as Johnny Sauter makes the pass on the bottom. A little bit of contact between Holt and Biffle. Biffle hold on to his positioning. He's barely staying in the draft behind Sauter in the 27. Really hoping he doesn't lose him. There's a giant pack of cars, though, behind these guys that can make this interesting before the finish as well. Biffle desperately trying to stay with Johnny Sauter in that 27 car. I don't think he was close enough when Sauter got around him. Just enough momentum was lost after that minimal contact with Cody Holt. And Biffle's got some more catching up to do all of a sudden. He's about 1.4 seconds off the lead. Holt to the outside. He's going to have to let him go. He's going to have to work with him. Third caution. Well, we've had 3 cautions so far. So if you're thinking that we're still going to have the big one, we're going to have 1 more by your predictions. Well, now we got Paul Menard in the 33. The other Cup Series regular in the mix. Up to 6th. Passing Biffle. Biffle will work with Menard. First time we've seen Menard all day long. Ashton Lewis has just taken the lead. He is now the 8th different driver to lead a lap in tonight's race, 94 laps in. And remember on lap 3, Ashton Lewis flipped, and he is leading at Talladega. The fact that he not only just stayed in the race after flipping, and a hard impact to both the roof of his race car and the impact that turned him over. Good hit into the wall while he was sliding on his lid. But now he is leading at Talladega, and I've got to say, that would be a first on the channel. I've never flipped and won, let alone one of the AI drivers to flip and win. The fact that he's even competing is impressive of its own. Lewis trying to become the first Busch Series regular to win this season. But it's only the 5th race of the year, but only Biffle and Dale Jr. have won this year. So Jr.'s up there battling right with them. You have Johnny Sauter, Paul Menard, Greg Biffle, Dale Jr. all behind him. Though J.J. Yaley, Kyle Busch are as well up there with Ashton Lewis as far as the Busch Series regulars trying to win. So you have 3 Busch regulars against 4 Cup regulars. We have 14 people watching, and we have 22 to go this time by. I want to see you guys getting hyped down in the chat. Last time we were on a super speedway was on Monday in the Budweiser shootout on this very game, and it was the Nextel Cup Series. We saw the big one on the final lap coming to the checkered flag in turns 3 and 4. At the time, race leader Bobby Labonte flipped. Jimmy Johnson escaped the carnage and was able to go on to win after leading 55 of the 70 laps in that race. It's kind of a 3-car tandem now as Menard has caught Sauter. I believe those 2 are teammates at Richard Childress Racing. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong down in the chat. I know in the Cup Series they're teammates. I'm not sure if the 27 car is an RCR car in the Busch Series or not, though. I know the 33 is. Of course, again, this is back in the 2004 season. I know the 33 is Penske now. I don't even think there is a 27 right now, at least in the Cup Series. Biffle to the bottom, making a move on Paul Menard in the 33. He's also underneath the 27 of Sauter as well. Biffle clear of Menard. So he does make the pass for 6th, and he is definitely close enough to draft behind Johnny Sauter in the tri-oval. Menard trying to cross Biffle back over to the bottom. Biffle's got too much of a run, though. Sauter running that middle to upper groove at the same time. I think Menard might get back to the inside of the 60, but the 60 wants to just stay in line behind the 27 now and try to break these RCR cars up. Menard's still down low. He might want to hop in line quicker. He may be in danger of losing the draft. 19 laps to go this time by. Menard's side drafting Biffle. That's not allowing him to really stay connected to the 27 and allow these two to kind of tandem away from Menard, or even if Menard tags along for the ride, to catch the cars in front. Looks like J.J. Yaley's lost a little bit of pace. Menard, Biffle, Sauter closing in on Yaley. Changing your prediction to 4 cautions in the big one. Remember, this race could end under caution if we get a late enough yellow. At Daytona, we had a caution with 5 laps to go in the Busch Series, which set up a 1-lap green-white checker finish, where Biffle was able to get around Dale Jr. on the restart, winning the race in that season opener after leading the most laps. But Biffle has not had that same speed that he had at Daytona in the season opener. It really hasn't had speed in the car since he won at Nazareth, which was a couple races ago now. Rockingham, he couldn't keep up with Kyle Busch, Dale Jr. Both Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch have led laps tonight. Busch has led quite a few and is leading again right now. Sauter to the inside of J.J. Yaley. Biffle going to work with Johnny Sauter, going to give him a bump draft. Down the backstretch, that was an aggressive move by Biffle. They're only a second off the lead now. Biffle, who worked well with Yaley earlier, decided to just stay with Sauter on the bottom lane. Not so much what you did for me early in the race as what have you done for me lately, and Biffle thinks that him and Sauter are starting to work well together. They pulled away from Menard. They're already pulling away from Yaley after passing him. They're reeling in the 46 of Ashton Lewis in third, who is slowly losing the top 2 of Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch. Busch is second in points behind Biffle, gaining 1 spot in the standings 2 days ago in the last race of Rockingham. Again, Busch got passed on the last lap in turns 3 and 4 at Rockingham by the guy who's running right behind him in second place right now, Dale Jr. Can we see the same thing happen? 2 races in a row. Can Jr. make a last lap pass like Kyle Busch in the final quarter to win the race? And knowing we're at Talladega, I'd say it's more likely to happen here than what had just happened 2 nights ago at Rockingham. War Given Racing Hub, welcome to the stream. Follow F1's livery launch? No. I don't really follow F1 at all. I'll watch a few races here and there throughout the season, but that's about it. And really, last year watching 3, that's the most I've watched in a single season. I think I've only watched like maybe 5 or 6 races total ever. Brewer Racing. Oh, well. You learn something new every day. Johnny Sauter, not an RCR team, maybe an affiliated team, but Brewer Racing in the 27, trying to go to victory lane. Sauter's still a Cup Series regular, though. He's in the Cup Series as a rookie for Richard Childress Racing in the 30 AOL car. 15 laps to go at the line. Sauter to the inside of Lewis. Biffle going to stick with Johnny Sauter, and Lewis, after leading about 5 to 10 laps ago after flipping earlier in the race. Has not only lost the lead, he's in danger of losing a few more positions as well. Biffle couldn't get around Lewis though. Really hoping that Lewis and Sauter don't pull away from him. And they're slowly getting away from Biffle. Biffle trying to hang on to that share draft. This is desperation mode right now for Biffle to hang on. He can't afford to fall too much further back with 14 to go and expect to catch back up and win. The only laps Biffle's led today really was in the middle of green flag pit stops. That's how he cycled to the lead. And it was by taking 2 tires versus 4. But because he had such a bad pit stop, he wasn't that far out ahead of him. They were right on his tail, in fact. Sauter tried to go down and block Lewis. Halfway on fuel. These guys should be good to the end. They'll be coming to 13 to go this time by. They restarted with 30 laps left. Under green flag conditions, we've seen guys go 32 to 35 laps tonight, so the fuel window should have been open when that caution waved and when we restarted. Biffle's probably about 3 laps to the good. And no green-white checker attempts in the Busch series. Again, the race would end under caution flag. Now, if we get a restart, you know, before the lap 117 mark or on lap 117, you know, that's one thing, but we can't go past the scheduled distance. Big move by Biffle. Sauter blocked Lewis, but Biffle was able to get to the inside of Ashton Lewis. He'll clear him in turns 3 and 4 for 4th as he drafts again behind Sauter. And now, can they catch Kyle Busch and Dale Jr.? 0.8 of a second back. They don't have much to gain. Jr. and Busch staying 1-2 right now, trying to pull away, but it is the tandem of Sauter and Biffle, which really, since the restart, with 30 to go, they've slowly worked together. They were about 2.5 seconds back, and they're just, I mean, slowly, maybe a 10th or 2 a lap at the most. But they had enough time to be able to only gain that much and still be able to get there before the end. The hard part is going to be passing the 8 and the 5, because those have probably been the 2 fastest cars for the second straight race. I'd probably say Kyle Busch is a little bit quicker, which is why Junior's maybe struggling to get around him. Plus the fact that Junior doesn't have a lot of help. Dale Jr. looked really fast at the beginning of the race, but he hasn't looked quite as fast since that second caution and since that first pit stop. I think they went the wrong way in an adjustment and allowed the 5 of Kyle Busch to become the fastest car on the racetrack. Kyle Busch trying to, again, become the first Busch Series regular to win a race this season. He's got 3 Cup Series regulars behind him. All within 0.6 of a second at that. At the biggest track in NASCAR. At least on this schedule. Definitely the baddest track in NASCAR, I can tell you that much. 10 laps to go. Can Busch do it? If we do get another caution, all the lap cars will be on the back or at the tail of the lead lap cars. Sauter just slowly reeling in Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch. When does Biffle pull out of line? He doesn't want to make the move too early. I mean, this is the race right here. You lose the draft, you are not going to catch these guys without a caution. And then you gotta hope they even get a restart if we see another caution. Biffle doesn't like being the 4th car of these 4. He's scared they may pull away. You can see Sauter kind of creeps away from him. Biffle's not lifting at all. He's being patient right now. 9 to go, but when does that patience wear off? You get a gigantic run, you have to take it, but he doesn't feel he's had a run big enough to be able to pull out of line yet. Dale Jr. going to the outside, but nobody goes with him. Sauter's going to try to go down to the bottom. Biffle staying behind. See, Ashley made it back just for the finish. This is intense. Knowing that my car is probably not as fast as the 3 cars in front. Oh, Junior may have a run. Into the tri-oval. Dale Jr. looks low. But he can't quite get underneath of Kyle Busch. Sauter almost got underneath Dale Jr. as well. Biffle may have a run off of turn 2. He's far enough behind the 27. He's either going to have a run or he's going to fall back. He has a run to the inside of Johnny Sauter. Biffle thinks now's the time to go with 8 laps left. Just trying to pick him off one at a time. Junior gets to the inside of Kyle Busch for the lead as well. Oh, he bobbles off the apron. Side by side for the lead. Junior's finally underneath Kyle Busch. Who does Biffle go with? He goes 3 wide to the inside. Greg Biffle. Can he pull it off? He is in the lead. What a move by the 60. He passed all 3 of them in 1 lap. Now can he hang on to the finish? A block to the outside. Look at Johnny Sauter fly by. He's in the lead off of turn 2. Johnny Sauter leads, and Kyle Busch, who was leading a half a lap ago, is now back to 4th. 6.5 laps to go. Busch to the inside of Dale Jr. It's Johnny Sauter and Greg Biffle. 1-2. They worked well enough to get there. Biffle kind of hung Sauter out and then went for the lead 3 wide, had it. Now they're side by side for the lead into the tri-oval again. Biffle trying to side draft the 27. Oh, bad block by Sauter. Biffle to the lead. I don't know who led that lap. Sauter threw a terrible block on Greg Biffle. And Biffle was all over the left rear corner panel trying to side draft him. And Biffle's going to get to the lead. 4.5 laps left. Biffle's ahead by 1.5 seconds, but we know he doesn't have that great of a single car run. He didn't even qualify in the top 10. That and they're drafting together pretty well. And don't look now, but behind Dale Jr., Kyle Busch, and Johnny Sauter, there's another 3-car pack. Behind that other 3-car pack, there's a giant pack. And I would not be surprised if they all bunch together at the finish of this race. 4 laps to go around the 2.66 miles super speedway that is Talladega. If we get a caution now, the race is probably going to end. So you do not want to lose the lead if you can help it. Dale Jr. is in second. Ashton Lewis has driven his way back up to the inside of Jr. for second. He's going for the lead. Busch went with him. Again, Lewis flipped on lap 3. Sauter is on the inside in 5th. J.J. Yaley is back up in this pack now. Junior to the outside. Biffle squeeze. A block. He's clear. 3 to go. At the line this time by. Junior had a great move to the bottom. Biffle couldn't block him. He had too big of a run. Biffle leads that lap at the line. Not sure who Junior's got a donut on the side of his car from. Maybe it's an Oreo. That's the paint scheme he's got. Dale Jr. leads at Talladega. And if there's going to be somebody that's going to be tough to pass at this track, it's going to be him. Remember, we had a caution with 5 to go at Daytona. Well, we have less than that to go right now. Sorry, we have 4 laps left now. They'll be coming to 3 to go this time by. I do think that if a caution comes out, the race is going to end. We only have 1 lap to go on a restart when we had a caution with 5 to go at Daytona. We're coming to 3 to go this time by. Junior might not officially take the lead. Contact. Greg Biffle holds on. Oh, Ashton Lewis, what a run to the inside. Junior up high, 3 wide, nearly. Lewis is clear, he leads. Ashton Lewis to the lead at Talladega. Big run for Biffle, but he has nowhere to go. Lewis blocks to the bottom. Ashton Lewis flipped earlier on lap 3. He leads coming to 2 to go. And the entire pack behind him as they have all bunched up. And Lewis has a massive lead off of turn 4 into the tri-oval. It's going to give Biffle a pretty gigantic run now. Biffle looks low. 2 laps left. If we get to the white flag, no cautions come out on the final lap. Biffle trying to side draft Ashton Lewis. It didn't work. Sauter's back inside the top 3. Busch to the outside of him. Blue Castleberry out of nowhere is looking low. Junior sandwiched in the middle of everybody. Lewis again had a big gap down the backstretch. Biffle trying to reel him in. Right front starting to go away on the 60. Oh, Sauter gets into the left rear. Nearly turns the 60. Sauter goes down to save it. Everybody escapes to the outside. White flag. Next flag ends the race. And it will be the checker. Lewis didn't go low to block Biffle. Biffle's on the bottom. He's trying to get up there. Here comes Busch to the inside. 3 wide. Kyle Busch. Busch on the bottom. Ashton Lewis on the outside. Greg Biffle still trying to cling on in the draft. Busch leads into 3 and 4. Can he have redemption from Rockingham from a race ago? Biffle in second. He charges behind the 5. Does Biffle have enough time to get around him? To the outside. Busch couldn't block. Side by side. Oh, he hooks him. He hooked the 5. It wasn't enough. Kyle Busch is going to win at Talladega. Oh, Biffle tried to wipe him out. He tried, but it didn't work. And Kyle Busch is going to win the race. Oh, what a finish. Redemption from getting passed by Dale Jr. at Rockingham on the last lap to winning with a last lap pass of his own on Ashton Lewis. 3 wide off of turn 2. Kyle Busch is a winner at Dega. That was desperation. I knew I didn't have a run on him. I got to the outside, but then Lewis pulled to the bottom into the tri-oval behind Busch. So I gave Busch the run. I tried to turn him. That's what I get, though. I tried to turn him, and it didn't work, so I still finished second. That was a good finish. I'm surprised everybody made it, as nuts as that was. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Billy thought there was going to be a big one, too. I don't know how. But we made it to the end of that race without a caution. I mean, it was pack racing off the restart, then they kind of separated, but then it was pack racing for like the last 12 laps. There was contact here and there. Everybody made it. I don't know how, but they all made it. Even that last bit of contact off turn 4, Sauter got loose. He saved it down on the apron with 2 to go. Stayed green. 3 wide off turn 2 for the lead. Busch gets to the bottom. Man, oh man. No, I mean, Busch tried to block. I had the run to get to the outside. I was trying to side draft him. But Lewis went to the bottom in the tri-oval when I was up high. It was 2 cars versus 1. So Busch had the run. He was starting to pull me a little bit, and I tried to take him out. I'll be honest, I tried to wipe him out. So Busch didn't really... That contact between Busch and Biffle in the tri-oval, that was me trying to hook him. It didn't work. That's all right. Oh, man. That was a great race, though. Second time this week. Yeah, second time a super speedway. I mean, granted, I know it's a super speedway, but comes down to the final corner. What, Jimmy Johnson had a last lap pass in the Busch shootout. And then a last lap pass for Dale Jr. on Kyle Busch in the Rockingham Busch race. And now Kyle Busch has a last lap pass on the same game at Talladega. That's 3 races. 3 races this week that we've raced on this game, and all 3 of them have finished in a last lap pass. That is insane. Now, granted, Daytona and Talladega were 2 of the tracks, but even Rockingham was one. And the crazy thing is, not only we didn't win any of them, but we weren't even involved in being passed on the last lap in any of them. Well, I guess we were at the Busch shootout. I guess I was leading coming to the white flag there. Yaley got around me, and then I had contact with Yaley, and then after I hit the wall, I hit the wall, bounced off the wall into Yaley, then Yaley flipped, and then if I didn't hit the wall, we probably wouldn't have even had the big one in that. But, man, Regina Huddleston, Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Hopefully you guys caught the end of it. But man, oh man, that was fun. We still haven't even looked at the top finishers. Kyle Busch led 43 laps today. I think he led the most. Yeah, he did. So in every race, despite the last lap passes, I believe the driver who has led the most laps has won the race. Dale Jr. led the most laps at Rockingham, won. Jimmy Johnson led the most laps in the Busch shootout, won. And then Kyle Busch led the most laps today and won. I've only led 14 laps in the last 2 races combined, but I finished in the top 3 in both of them. Like, we're close, I don't have the speed I had those first 3 races to be able to lead a lot of laps anymore. I don't know exactly, what I need to do. I thought it was weird that I led 42 laps of 120 at Daytona, led the most laps there, qualified on the pole, but then I come out at Dega on a track that's very similar. They're both rough. They're both super speedways, restrictor plate races. But I qualified 11th and only led 8 laps. Like, I didn't have the single car speed I did at Daytona to kind of hold off the pack, as you saw at the finish. But now go play F1. So, Busch ends up winning. Greg Biffle led 8 laps. Ashton Lewis led 6 after flipping on lap 3. Ashton Lewis led 6 laps in the final, 22 there, or at least all in the last 30 since that restart. And finishes 3rd. Even though he didn't win and he was leading coming to the white flag. What a valiant effort after flipping earlier in the race. Bobby Hamilton Jr. led just 1 lap, but he finishes 4th. Paul Menard ends up 5th. Get hard for Menard, everybody down in the chat. Dale Jr. finishes in 6th after only leading 5 laps. He had a really fast car, but didn't lead that many. I don't know how he fell to 6th. He was leading with 4 laps to go. 3 to go. Yeah, he was leading with 3 laps left, and then we took the lead from him, and then Lewis took the lead from us. And Busch took the lead from Lewis. I don't know how Junior fell back to 6th, but guess he did. Blue Castleberry finishes 7th, the highest running generated rookie driver tonight. Gets a top 10. Tim Feedwell finishes 8th. JJ Yaley led 17 laps. He had a fast car as well tonight. I drafted really well with him tonight. Unfortunately, he finished 9th. Still got a top 10. But of the laps led, I think he led the 2nd most laps. Dwayne Borland led 1 lap, I guess, as well. I guess we had 9 different leaders. How do you flip and not DNF? I don't know. How do you flip and finish 3rd on top of it? In this game, too, where, the damage... It's not, we do have damage on. That's the crazy thing. I can see that in a crappy game like NASCAR 21 Ignition that has bugs and glitches all over the place, but in this one, I'm surprised that happened. I think the car he hit, though, before flipping DNF'd. Tiny Buchanan led 31 laps today. That was towards the start of the race. He finished in 12th, starting 3rd. We only had 13 drivers finish on the lead lap. Poor Johnny Sauter. He got a little, I don't know if he got tight or just ran out of room. I guess we were, I can't remember if we were side by side or 3 wide. I really don't know if we were side by side or 3 wide when Sauter made contact with us off turn 4, coming to the white flag. But he made a great save down to the apron when he got sideways. Luckily, it kept it green because we weren't quite at the white flag yet. That we were able to see that great finish. But Johnny Sauter ended up falling back to 13th, unfortunately. He didn't lead a lap. I think he led, but we got back around him before the start-finish line. I'm surprised he didn't lead one. Hornaday led 1 lap. I didn't even know he led either, so I guess that's 11 different leaders. Manny Brown led at the beginning after starting on the pole. Do remember that. And that's all for drivers who led laps. The drivers who DNF'd tonight would be Jared Holmes on lap 2. He was the driver that got ran into by Ashton Lewis, which caused Lewis to flip. Herbie Sadler blew an engine at lap 20. Richardson blew an engine at lap 26. Craig Miller at lap 52. David Green at lap 54. Second straight DNF for him. Lance Brantley, 72. And that was it. So, looks like we had 6 drivers DNF tonight. 3 cautions for 9 caution laps. Hour 57 minutes for this 312-mile event at Talladega. And 20 lead changes between the 12 different leaders. And there's the margin of victory, 1/10 of a second between Biffle and Kyle Busch. But what a race. What a race. We'll check out those point standings. Kyle Busch with the max points today is going to gain on Greg Biffle, not by much, considering Biffle finished second and did lead 8 laps himself as well. Next race will be at Phoenix for the Bashas Supermarket 200. That will be, man, I don't even know when that's going to be. Maybe next week? I mean, if you count Sunday as, considering my work week, that's like the last day of my week for work. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, is the only nights I could, those are the only 2 nights I could stream, because then I'll be leaving for Daytona on Wednesday, and I won't be back till the following Tuesday. So I don't know when the next Busch race is going to be exactly with this game. It might be a couple weeks yet, but that was one way to leave off. Why is there an Aaron's 312 at race 8? I accidentally put Talladega on here twice that early in the season. That's gonna stink if I did, because I didn't mean to. I know it's on the schedule twice, but I didn't mean to put it race 5 and race 8 if I did. I need to check that real quick. That's the standing. 74 points. So Busch gained 15 on Greg Biffle tonight. Phoenix, Dodge Raceway, Atlanta. Okay, so it wasn't Dega. That scared me a little bit. It's kind of strange that it's the Aaron's 312 at Talladega and Atlanta, but alright, well, yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the channel. And we'll be racing NASCAR 21 Ignition. Final season of NASCAR 21 Ignition tomorrow night. Should be a fun one because we will be racing at Dirt Bristol. So, going to Dirt Bristol for the final time on NASCAR 21 Ignition. You won't want to miss it. 250 laps is a pretty short race. Stage is on as always. And starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. I'll see you for that. Have a good rest of your night. 9 days till the Daytona 500 on the road to Daytona continues live on the channel tomorrow. Again, thanks everybody. Have a good start to your weekend.